Welcome back to Women Creating Wealth, where we have lots of fun, exciting stories to tell you about how you too can become a real estate investor. And today I have a special treat for you because Carrie Dahle is with us. Carrie is a real estate broker turned women's wellness and business manifestation and abundance life coach. From her gratitude journals and intentional planners to her life-changing retreats and coaching courses, Carrie helps women discover their why and focus their intention on manifesting the life of their dreams. Carrie, thanks
Oh,
for being with us today.
thanks for having me. I'm so excited.
Me too. So it's interesting because what you've done is what a lot of us do because we get involved in real estate investing and then we have this passive income stream. We're like, okay, well, that's taking care of itself. So now what else could I do that'd be really fun and rewarding? So tell us, first of all, a little bit about your real estate journey. I know you started as a broker yourself.
So actually started back when I was 21 and young and didn't know anything. And how do you sell homes to people when you haven't even done it yourself? And
Right.
that was during the time when you had to pull everything from the books. It was nothing on the internet, all the old school ways. And I started building that, and then. Of course, being 21, I was young, I was married, I was just starting to have a family, all the things. And it just didn't work. It didn't work for me at that time because, well, I became a mom and I became a mom quick, and you can't do both full time. So after, moving around and trying to train it over and over and being people's assistants and stuff, I just decided for now, I just can't do it. And it wasn't until about 6, maybe 7 years ago now that I made the choice to jump back in full time and really dive into this. And in the meantime, I mean, my husband and I had bought several homes, sold up several homes, fixed them up, had rental properties. And it just, again, my love for homes just continued to grow. So going back into real estate this time around really just felt so natural and normal to me. And my love for homes and my love for helping people and that excitement that you get when somebody walks into a house for the very first time, when they're like, this is it. It's just like the best thing ever. So that's my real estate journey. I've been working here in Southern Oregon now for about 6 years. I'm a principal broker now, and I still do it. I haven't moved away from it. Maybe not quite like as go go go. I have other people doing it for me, but I just love it too much to let that side slip away.
When you and your husband first started investing and doing flips and rental property and things like that, was that a negotiation or were you both totally on board or did you have to was he more reserved or how'd that go?
You know what? He is amazingly handy. So there's that is really, really helpful. And really it was just us building equity in homes to begin with, right? It was getting the home that we could afford that maybe I couldn't stand. In fact, my favorite story was one that he convinced me. We walked in and great neighborhood. I will give him that. And the views were to die for. But the house, I mean, I walked in the door and I looked at him and I went, no, 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 no. And he kept saying, just give it a chance. Just give it a moment. And finally, I'm walking through this house and I'm like, if you want this, and I understand, like I can see it, like I can turn this into something. But if you want this, like you understand what it's gonna take, right? It's not gonna be easy. This whole kitchen has to go. We're a good pair that way. He can do the work. I have the vision. It just works well.
It's nice to have a partner, especially one who's handy. I did a lot of my stuff myself and it was no picnic.
No, it's not. And let me tell you, in that house specifically with 4 children, for an entire month, had no kitchen and I cooked out of our trailer. I walked in and out outside of my house with pots and pans doing the whole dance like every night. And it was the last time I'll do that one.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. I can't imagine doing it with children. Oh my goodness. When I was married, we did a fixer upper and I was doing dishes in the bathtub and we were eating like microwave meatloaf every night. So who said this was going to be fun? But then, so why do we keep doing it? Why do you think we keep doing it when it's like, that really sucked?
Because there's so much payoff in it, right? At least there has for our personal journey, it's been a huge leaps and bounds from these, little homes and just junk to what I live in now. And then with investing, it's been kind of the same thing, right? Never wanted to be landlords that didn't have a home for somebody that was something we would live in ourselves. It was always important to us to find that, but at the same time, to find like the right value in something and then make it livable. But to me, those have just been projects. I mean, one of my favorite ones, it's not really a short-term rental. It's not like an Airbnb, but it's a 30-day
Mhm.
and it's furnished. And it was so much fun because that house specifically, we redid everything, and then I furnished it the way I would have it. Like, it is my home.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I laugh because my husband's like, There's a green velvet chair." I'm like, "Shh, be quiet. That's my chair." Like, this is not about your house and what your house and our house looks like. This is what Carrie's house looks like.
And that's one of the things I love about short-term rentals is the furnishing and picking out. We used to go to auctions and like buy
Mhm.
artwork and stuff like that. It was just so fun. And you
Yeah.
can just keep furnishing a house over and over again, right? Oh, and let's do the next one. Let's do the next one. And
Yeah.
you get that. You don't have, if you did that in your own house, you'd end up with just a really lot of stuff. But when you got multiple houses, you can kind of
It's fun.
enjoy that. Yeah, you can get that vibe and that fun interior decorating thing just going for yourself. Was there anything that you found really challenging with maybe your first project or after a few? Is there, how about other projects where that wasn't the biggest challenge?
Yeah, so the one with the green chair, we redid it's an old 1900 cottage, and it's adorable, and the structure and everything was great. It just needed a new bathroom, it needed a real kitchen. And I again, because I like the way things look and I'm so visual and I can come up with all these ideas, and it was great. But let me just say that I'm no longer allowed on Pinterest because the kitchen turned out exactly like I imagined and exactly like I thought, and it was very cost effective. We did our cabinets ourselves. We did butcher block cabinets or counters,
Yeah.
whole thing. All of that worked out great. The bathroom, I was on Pinterest and I found these beautiful subway tiles, but I didn't want subway tiles like this. I didn't want them like this. I wanted something different. So, not knowing, I picked the most incredibly hard pattern in the world to do. And I have this great contractor who we use for things like that my husband just doesn't have time to do. He can
Yeah.
do, but just doesn't have time. And he was amazing, and he always just bills me time and materials, right? That was my lesson, because what he didn't say to me was, "Carrie, do you understand how many cuts that are going to be like a quarter of an inch and all these things to make it work? Do you realize how much time this," like, he didn't say that to me. "Do you realize how much time it's going to take?" I will say it is the most beautiful shower in the world. And he was fantastic, but it took like a good week of me showing up going, "Why is there only like a foot done? What am I paying you for? Like, what is going on?"
How is this taking so long? Is it like 2 hours to tile a shower? What's going on? Right.
No, it was days. It was a good week. It was, yeah, so lesson learned, know what you're getting into, know what you're paying for. Time and materials is really great, except for if it's a project you don't really know the scope of it.
I know that would have been one. It would be great to have a cap on. Say, okay, I'll tile your shower for this amount. Like, okay, great. Here's the pattern. Like, whoop.
Yeah, it was a total lesson learned.
Yeah, sometimes that can be a challenge. I love doing kitchens though. One of my favorite things for kitchens, I like to go on Marketplace. And I found whole kitchens that are perfectly nice. And then you just maybe paint the cabinets or whatever, you do something to refresh it, and you end up with a whole kitchen for $1,000 or whatever. It's
Yeah.
perfect for second home type investment.
Mhm.
Short-term rental or even long-term rentals.
There's a lot you can do even without gutting some house. I mean, even just like you said, painting the cabinets that are already there,
Yeah.
changing out the countertops, which is not that expensive.
Yeah,
I mean, there's
exactly.
there's so much that even just the handles on cupboards.
Makes a huge difference.
Mhm.
Absolutely. Yeah, handles are that's an amazingly it's amazing how much of a difference it makes just changing out the handles,
Mhm.
or if you paint and change the handles, you think you'd have a
Mhm.
whole different kitchen.
Mhm. And even the whole house, just a fresh coat of paint.
Yeah, and then you put your nice furnishings in there. Oh, yeah. So what's your favorite part?
In regards to owning a home, I get so much satisfaction out of seeing it go from stage one to the end stage. Like, it's just is the best feeling to me. And then watching people walk into that afterwards and see and appreciate it. And then we really never were flipping. We were
Yeah,
always just making our house, then selling it a couple of years down the road, making
yeah,
our house, selling it down the road.
yeah,
But the most recent ones are really just about building our rentals and spaces for people to be. And it's sweet to watch them walk in and feel like they're in their new home. And and it's just like it's like buying and selling, same feeling with
yeah,
people. It's that joy and excitement.
yeah, and I think when you do that as a landlord, as a property owner, when you do create a place where you would be happy living, right?
Mhm.
We didn't just put some crap in here just to get, we didn't slap it together and put on the 17th or 18th or 20th coat of paint just to kind of cover everything up. But you made it nice, and people appreciate that. And that's how you get great tenants who want to stay.
For me too, I don't know what you have going with this, but I've found with like my shorter term ones, I like people to be anywhere from a month to 6, 8 months. And I feel like that's like the sweet spot for people really caring, right? Caring for the home. They haven't gotten so comfortable where they just like don't they bang things up and mess it up. They're still in your home.
Yeah.
So to me, that's been the sweet spot there with that. And then in the other homes, it's being able to recognize, look, it's not going to always be cared for the way you wish. And you just have to accept that. And you
Mm.
have to hope that you pick the right people and that they're going to. But there's a lot of emotion, right? That goes with it.
If you just buy a place and, and just leave it and say, okay, I'm just going to rent this place out, right? It's a totally different feeling than when it's your blood, sweat, and tears that went into fixing it up and making it nice. And then you go in there like, what are these socks doing on the floor?
It is. It is. We had one years ago that I think it was the first home that we had gone in and fixed up and changed we'd lived there for a few years. And then we rented it rather than selling it right away. And I remember how upset I was after the few rounds of renters and when I finally got it back ready to sell and they had animals and not told me. And I mean, just things were destroyed. And I was so, so upset. And I remember saying, I will never do this again. Like, I will never be a landlord again. I'm done and over it. And here I am.
Oops.
I know.
But there
I
isn't there
know.
isn't a lot of emotional things that have to happen in order for you to be a good landlord, right? I mean, I'm sure maybe you didn't do this, but in the beginning, I listened to every sob story. Oh, it's so sad. They need a house. They're such great people, and you rent to them, and they don't pay their rent. You just like, no, this is a business. I have to check everyone's credit. I have to check their references. I can't just fall for the first sad story that I hear coming down the road. There's a lot of I feel like a lot of mindset that has to shift in order to be a good landlord.
This is one I learned actually from my mother-in-law years and years ago. Because she had a rental and back in the day, they didn't do credit checks or anything like that. But what she would do is she would walk outside and look in their car.
Oh,
And I was like, "Why?" And she said, "Because how they care for their car is how they're gonna care for the house." And I that's so great. So, yes, I still do my credit checks and stuff, but I have to say, I do take a glance at people's cars and go, "Hmm,
it makes
okay."
sense, right? If the back of the seat is filled with right coffee cups and all kinds of
Yeah,
trash, and I've gotten in people's cars like that, and you're like, oh my God, oh, just push that stuff to the side, and you think you don't want that person living in your house because if the car
exactly.
looks like that, imagine what the house is going to look like. That's a really great one.
Isn't it great? Yeah.
When you do your longer short-term rentals, how are you finding those folks?
So, it's a couple different ways. With my short term, because I am in real estate, a lot of times I have clients, right, that they're in between, like, or they need to sell and then they need a couple months to find the next one. So that was actually initially what started that specific rental was going, hey, we have a need for that in this town. We have like Airbnb, but we don't have that in between.
Longer. Yeah.
So there's a lot of that. I've also I use Furnish Finder
Yeah.
also for a lot of nurses, and at
Yep.
least in our community,
Yep.
they go through there. And that's a fantastic one just
Yep.
because the hospitals and the medical facilities will pay for it. So it's
Yes.
a little more secure. You've got it for a few months, your time frame. It's pretty great that way.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then for our other ones that aren't short term, I've started using a property manager just to find someone for me
Yeah.
because it takes the emotion out for me and the stress out for me.
Yeah.
And we manage it from as soon as they find it. But just I've got a friend who that's all she does. That's her business. So I pay her to run the credit checks, do
Yeah.
find all the information, make sure
Talk
they're
to all the
good.
people, screen everybody.
Exactly, and then bring him to me, and we'll go ahead and move on. I didn't think I wanted to do that in the beginning, but I'll tell you, there's a heck of a lot less stress if you can do that, and if you just pay just a small fee to have somebody else.
But what you're talking about is key. Identifying the pieces that you like, the pieces that excite you, the pieces that serve you, and then just offloading the rest.
Mhm.
delegating the rest. Pay somebody else to do that piece of it that's causing you stress.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
was a huge difference for me in that.
So let's talk about your coaching program. Tell me a little bit about that, how that evolved.
It's kind of funny, right? How things change. You and I chatted last week or a couple weeks ago about there's a reason we do real estate, right? It's a short, it's a quick, it's what our minds focus on. It's an excitement period for this amount of time. I don't get bored. And what I found with real estate is that I just like somebody can say to me, "This is the house I want. This is what I love. These are all my things." And once they start listing it out and once we start talking about it and we really start focusing on it, it was really easy to guide and find and help them find these homes. And then I saw this massive joy with this creation of that and
Right.
identifying, right, and really focusing on it
Well, and
and
listening.
not yeah, yeah. And so I started, recognizing that so many people have dreams and goals outside of just homes. And if they can just work on identifying it and having clarity and focusing on it and, being grateful for all the things they do have in their life, and they just have maybe a little structure and a way to get to things that they can really do amazing things. And so I've kind of taken the 2, right, and combined them in a sense of now, I mean, yes, I still have my real estate business, but now I've been doing coaching with, and it's mostly been groups so far. I'm going to work into some individual stuff, but I really like the group because I think it's accountability for everybody. It gives them to like hear and get excited. We just did this Thrive 35, which was 5 weeks of hitting your goals. And these women, they flipping rocked it. One got, I mean, one, she just called me this morning. Last night was our last night, our last week, right? She calls me this morning and she's like, Carrie, I have a contract with a publisher. Like she's had this book on her shelf for years that she's been so scared to reach out to a publisher, and she finally did it, and now she's publishing her book.
Oh my
And
God,
another
that's
one,
amazing.
she figured out what her dream was and where she wanted to go with work, and she's doing that. Another one leveled up in, her business, and it's just amazing what a little support and a little direction does.
Well, and clarity as well. Like there's so many things, right? If I had to list out all the things I want to do, I mean, you could fill pages, but right? What's at the top of the list? What should I be focusing on? Where do I want to put my energy? Once you get that clarity and laser focus on that thing, and then you've got the support and the camaraderie and the community, and you see other people doing it, like, "Oh, I better get going, right? I mean, it's fantastic. It's a great dynamic.
Well, and I do with all my heart believe that anyone can manifest what they want. Anyone can draw those things to you. You just need to know how.
So what's the first step? Well, first of all, how did you find those clients? How did they find you?
Well, most of it's actually been through Instagram.
Awesome.
I'm a good little Instagrammer, I'm good at putting those things out there, and I've just been really building that community that way for quite a while. It's been a process of me just encouraging people without inviting them to do anything with me.
Yeah.
And now, now they come to the website, they sign up, we do things, sometimes they sign up for the free one, which was the Thrive 35 we just did, but now, we also have an ongoing monthly group, Dreams to Reality. And that is truly where I'm seeing these women just like make leaps and bounds. And I'm not saying it's just going to say just women. That just seems to be who's drawn to me right now. So,
Yeah, it makes sense though. But I think men in general are maybe encouraged more to follow their dreams, right? It's not, I don't know. I feel like sometimes as women, we put our dreams on the back burner a little bit when we're having our families and when we're doing other things, right? Even your real estate career, right?
yeah.
It went on the shelf for a while until the family was kind of running on its own. And then, okay, now I
Mhm.
can go back to something that in that case, you knew you loved it. But some people didn't have that, right? If you start your family before you've had a chance to find something you really love to do, you might be like, okay, everybody's at school now. What am I going to do? Right.
Yeah. Yeah. And I wasn't even sure I would. I mean, other than the fact that I knew I loved homes, like that's just I knew I enjoyed that, but no, I didn't know for sure that that was going to be the right spot for me. But it turned out
Yeah.
great. And I am
Awesome.
lucky too. I do have a husband who is incredibly supportive of me and doing the things. And
Yeah, and that's a huge point though, because if you have somebody who's not comfortable with you changing, with right, not comfortable with maybe a risk that you might be taking, or somebody who's not talking you up while you're Oh, oh, you're gonna write a book. Oh, I mean, right? Like somebody who's saying something like that, and you just be that's just another hurdle, another energy vampire that you got to overcome. You got to have twice as much energy to sort of launch with that.
Yeah.
But it happens. People get it done. People still
They
get it done.
do. They
Huge,
do.
huge blocks, huge, detriments, things going on that aren't fantastic. But once you get the fire, it just it can't hold you back.
Yeah. And I think too that also is another reason just to have support, whether it be a spouse or a partner or a friend or accountability group, something to keep pushing you forward.
Yeah, you're right.
Because
It doesn't have to be your
otherwise,
spouse.
otherwise you start to self-doubt, right? Otherwise you start to like you sit back in and think, who am I? Like, why can I do this? What makes me think I'm good enough? But when you have other people encouraging, it's different.
Yeah, it definitely is. Definitely is. So, Carrie, what would you say to someone who's thinking about getting involved in real estate investing but hasn't actually done it yet?
Jump in. Like jump in. It is scary. People right now, they're all over the board about, oh, the interest rates, the interest rates, the interest rates. You know what? It's never a good time. There is never a good time to buy real estate. You are either going to have a higher interest rate or you're going to have a higher price house rate. But just imagine 5 years from now, how much you're going to be kicking yourself, looking back and saying, oh, well, damn, if I would have just done that, I could have gotten that house at this price. And here, where would I be now? It'd be worth this. There's just
Right.
real estate continues to go up. It just does. It's not like a straight line. It's not, but it does. It goes up. So
Yeah,
why not jump in now and see where you are in 5, 10 years?
exactly. And interest, when you're not talking about your primary residence, when you're talking about investment, interest is just another tax deduction. As
Yeah,
long as the rents are covering it, right? You don't really need to sweat it.
that's right. And you can set your rent to cover your costs.
Yeah, exactly. Just run the numbers, make sure they work, and then do it. Because,
Mhm.
and then, like, whenever interest rates do something else, then you could refinance, you make a change, right? It's easy enough to do. But
Or maybe you have enough equity for the next one. Just dive in.
excellent advice. Excellent advice. And if you don't know, right, if you just don't have any clue, then you find somebody to partner with who's done it before.
Yeah.
What would you say is like a lesson that you learned throughout this journey that you would like other people to hear?
Have a great relationship with a lender who is wise in the world of investing, not just a lender who focuses on your first time home buyer or you, but somebody who really can understand and knows how to work that, and knows what those numbers look like, who can talk you through it, who who can say to you, logically, this is what it will take and this is what you're going to have, and this is what we can do in, a year if the interest rates change. But just to have that partner that way financially is huge.
Back to the advice that you gave earlier, figure out what you're good at, what your strong points are. And if
Mhm.
it isn't, for example, if it isn't running the numbers, then partner with someone who's good at that. If it isn't envisioning what it could look like fixed up, then partner with someone who's good at that. And once you identify what you're really good at, right, then you can be like, gotta outsource this one, this part of
Mhm.
it.
I'd also say find a realtor who understands that too. And one who can see, like, who can walk in a house with you and see how that could look or how it could change or what could be brightened up a little bit. That can make a lot of difference too, because they look at homes every single day.
Exactly.
Whereas, when you aren't doing it every day, sometimes it can be hard to imagine.
Not only that, they'll tell you what to focus on, right?
Yeah.
You would say, don't spend your time, you know, I'm thinking of a friend of mine who excavated the entire exterior of the home so that he
Oh,
could waterproof the foundation because he found like a drop of water in the basement. And I thought, dude, you are never going to see that money, right? Put your monies in kitchens and bathrooms and curb appeal and things that actually are going to pay you back. And a real estate agent in the area will know that. That's
yeah.
excellent advice. Yeah,
Yeah.
good one. Yeah, definitely you want to partner with a real estate agent, and I think a real estate agent who's invested,
I think so
who's
too.
been invested. Not every real estate agent, believe it or not, not every real estate agent even owns a home. Never mind an investment property, right? We're not all created equal.
That's true. It's so true. And just for them to even be able to call out the big things, because there's going to be a million little things, right? A million little things are going to be wrong. But for them to say, no, let's really focus. Is the roof good? Is the foundation good? Is electrical good? Is the plumbing
Because
good?
Yeah, because those are 3 things that you could put a lot of money into that is not gonna add anything to the value of the house, really.
Right.
You're never gonna get your money back, I should say.
That's right. It's just maintenance.
I sold a property to some folks who they had knob and tube wiring, and they spent $50,000 pulling out all the old wiring, putting it all back, and then but they intended to stay there, right? This wasn't an investment for them. They intended to stay there, but then one of them got a job in another part of the world, and they had to sell it. And they were like, "But we just put 50,000 into it." And I said, "Yeah, but people expect to have electricity, right? It's not like a selling point. Oh, there's electricity here and you're not going to burn down." Like, uh-huh. Thanks, right?
You're like, "Oh, there's running water.
Right.
Yay."
Exactly. The septic system works. Aren't you excited? Don't you want to pay 25,000 extra for that, right?
It's emotional, right?
But so Carrie, I mean, our time is like flying by. I don't understand how that happens so fast. But what do you wish I would have asked you? What do you really want to share with people? Make sure that they know.
Put gratitude first in your life. Put it first. And trust that when you are putting that out there, that all the good is just going to come towards you.
You put good energy out, you get good energy back. It
Mhm.
might not be immediate because you might have like some leftover bad stuff that was already on its way.
True, but it's so hard, right? It's so hard to be in a negative mindset or to even feel angry or upset when you are just grateful.
Absolutely true. I'll tell you a funny story. When I first started dating my boyfriend, I had decided that I wanted to do this, morning gratitude thing. So, we were snuggled up in bed and I said, are you grateful for anything today? And he said, he's was a little depressed at that time. He said, I can't think of anything. I was like, really? I said, you're laying here in bed with me and you can't think of, come on. Oh, well, yeah, I guess I'm grateful for that. Now, fast forward many years later, his gratitude list takes like 45 minutes.
It can really
Consisting like,
change your life. It
yeah,
really can.
yeah. Are you going to be able to put both feet on the floor this morning without any help? Can you see the alarm clock, even though it might be going off at 3 in the morning and, taking you into a job you don't love? Can you hear it? Can you see it? It's like so many things that really life would suck without, right? These small things that we all really take for granted.
Electricity, water flowing out of the pipes, toilets in the
Absolutely.
house.
Yeah, it's so true. It's so true. I mean, it's easy to take things for granted. And that's fantastic advice, Carrie. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank
So how can
you.
people reach you if they're in Oregon or if they want to do some coaching with you and get fired up about this next phase of their life?
So I'm on Instagram, Carrie Dale's Thrive Mindset. And then also, thrivemindset.io is my website. It's the best place to find me. And if you're interested in real estate, you can find me that way too. We can co-mix.
Excellent. Excellent. All right. And I'll put all those in the show notes for everyone.
Okay.
Thanks so much for joining us, Carrie. And thank you, listeners, for listening and tuning in and hearing about Carrie. And I hope she's got you excited to maybe do a little something on your own, whether it's to work with her for some coaching or to maybe like dabble into the real estate investing space. Either
Oh,
way, share this episode with somebody who you know and love who needs to hear a positive message today.